Hey, what's up guys, Tactiholics here checking in with the Vortex Optics Sparc 2. We were kind of prompted to do this video because we had the Sparc 2 mounted on the Anderson AR15 that we're in the process of torture testing, and I just wanted to convey the excitement that I had for this optics performance, especially for the price point. Vortex sells it at their website for $250 as a starting price. You can pay a little bit less depending on where you go, but for the $200 to $250 range, this little red dot just excels. It certainly got a workout and it got a beating with all the punishment that it saw on top of the Anderson rifle. Everything from being dropped in the mud, dropped in the dirt, run over, hitting pavement, literally being beaten against rocks using the rifle similar to a baseball bat. Pretty unconventional, extreme testing, and this optic handled it all incredibly well. Like I said, especially for the price range, I really couldn't ask for anything more. It actually got to the point during some of the testing that we were doing down at the rock quarry, dropping the gun on rocks and beating the thing into rocks, where I sheared off the control box off of the left side of the optic, and it was hanging on by wires. And amazingly enough, even though the control box had separated from the body of the red dot itself, you were still able to control the red dot, control the brightness, turn it on and off. All the functions still worked incredibly well. And then that moved on to the point where a couple more drops, a couple more bangs against some hard rocks and concrete and stuff, and the dot itself went away, and I was left with nothing more than a horizontal line going, horizontally across the optic. But the brightness and on-off and stuff still worked just fine, which is kind of weird. And ironically enough, to the best that we could determine, the elevation was still on. So rather than having a red dot for windage and elevation, we just had a horizontal line that you could sort of cut the fat boy in half with and still get good hits out to about 100 yards, which I was shocked. And hopefully as we dig through the footage of the AR15 Torture Test, we can convey that, and that'll really come through, just the outstanding performance of this little optic. However, after a couple more drags and bangs through rocks and gravel and stuff like that, we actually ripped off the control unit altogether, which obviously gave us a dead optic. We weren't able to control it anymore at that point, but we kept on shooting it at distances that we could get hits, more kinesthetic shooting than needing to rely on a red dot or something like that. But I just wanted to see how much more punishment the optic could take. And not long after that, we managed to shear off the entire battery compartment. It was hanging on by that braided steel cable that keeps the cap or the cover for the battery compartment on. Well, that's all that was holding the battery onto the body of the optic. So the thing was pretty well smoked at that point. But one of the big things that I did notice is that the glass never cracked on either side of the optic. The body of the optic on the forward side, the front ocular of the optic, the body was actually getting kind of flat spots in it from getting banged so hard and dropped so many times, and I was waiting for that glass to shatter or crack or something, or the entire body of the optic to actually become disfigured and deformed, and that never happened. Now fortunately, Vortex offers their lifetime unconditional VIP warranty. Anything happens to it, electronics, the body, mechanical failures, it doesn't matter what happened to your equipment, whether it's a red dot or binoculars or a spotting scope or rifle scope from Vortex, they will back it for the entire life of that piece of equipment. Whether you own it or you sell it to someone or give it to someone, that warranty, that VIP warranty, goes with the piece of equipment. And fortunately for me, I live close enough that I actually drove down earlier today to Vortex, and that kind of inspired me to make this video for you. I got to walk in there and shake the hand of one of my favorite reps from Vortex, and he literally walked to the back warehouse and came out and handed me a brand new Sparc 2, which is going to be mounted back on that Anderson rifle again as we continue the torture test. So it did kind of cause a delay for us in the torture test process, obviously, to not have an optic on the gun, but being able to exchange at no hassle, no fees, no nothing, exchange that broken piece of glass for a brand new one is something I can't say enough about. And I was pretty pleased. If you ever made it up to the Vortex office, or you look at their website and you see some of their horror story optics and stuff like that, there's some smashed up, burned up, shot up optics in there, and my goal was to make the display case. I don't know if my optic will make the display case, but when I walked in, handed it to Mr. Ken Calhoun, he just kind of held it in his hands and looked at me and he goes, "Wow, that's impressive." And I told him the story, that all the torture and abuse that the optic had been subject to, and I said, man, there's a lot of good optics out there. People swear by aim points and EOTechs and Trigicons and all this stuff for triple the price of a Vortex. For the price range that Vortex is offering their equipment in, I don't think you can get a better deal. And hands down, everything from Barska to US Optics and Night Force, I don't think you're going to find a better warranty anywhere in the spectrum. So they were happy to exchange it for me. I shook his hand, laughed as I walked out the door, and said I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks, because we're going to strap this thing back on that rifle and get back to banging it around. But as I mentioned, just a quick shout out to Vortex for their customer service and their care and the products that they're putting out. So if you guys are in the market for a small-bodied, lightweight red dot that has a lot of versatility, a lot of brightness adjustability, night vision compatibility, if that's important to you, I don't think you can go wrong with the Sparc 2. I can't wait to get this thing strapped up on the gun and keep on shooting so that we can get you guys that Anderson Torture Test, because I know you all been waiting for it. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching, and we never quit.